The terms negative and positive feedback can be misleading. Everyone thinks of negative as going down and positive as going up, kind of like on a number line. Here's the thing. When we talk about feedback, we're talking about maintaining homeostasis. So, there's an ideal point or range for the living organism to operate in, and feedback maintains that range. Think of a house with a thermostat. It's cold out right now, so without added heat, the temperature will just keep falling indoors. As temperature gets further from the set temperature, it signals the heat to kick on. When temperature is back in range, the heat turns off. This is negative feedback because the signal, the falling temperature, kicked off a process that reduced the initial signal, the big temperature difference. Same goes for summer. When it gets too warm, the AC kicks on and reduces the difference between the signal temperature and the homeostasis temperature. Still negative feedback. All kinds of hormones operate this way to maintain homeostasis. So we've reduced the temperature difference, and that temperature difference was the signal. So next we're going to look at blood sugar. We'll keep the thermostat example here for reference, but we're going to look at blood sugar. Insulin and glucagon are the hormones that control blood sugar. Like heat and AC, one increases blood sugar and one decreases it, but they both work the level back to a set homeostatic range. They're also both released by the pancreas, and they both act on the liver. If blood sugar is too high, insulin is released, and the liver and body cells will increase their intake of glucose to remove it from the bloodstream. The liver converts glucose to glycogen for storage. If blood sugar is too low, glucagon is released and stimulates glycogen breakdown and the release of glucose from the liver, which will raise the blood sugar levels back into range. So just to clarify, that big change in the blood sugar out of homeostatic range, that difference is the signal. And then the response to the signal decreases the difference. It dampens the signal. And that's what makes this negative feedback. Positive feedback is going to amplify the signal. We'll look at some of those examples next. So you don't see positive feedback in living things too often. That's when the signal kicks off a process that increases the original signal. So fruit ripening hormones signal even more fruit ripening hormones. In nature, this allows the neighboring fruit to ripen at the same time. There's no point when fruit gets so ripe that it reverses the process and goes back to being raw or green. Nope, fruit ripens until it rots. Labor is another rare example. So the baby puts pressure on the cervix, and that pressure is the signal to release oxytocin, and oxytocin simulates muscle contractions and more pressure. The increased signal causes more oxytocin and more contractions. This positive feedback continues until the baby is forced out and there isn't any more pressure to stimulate any more oxytocin release. So the things to remember about positive feedback is you have to know what the signal is in both cases, positive or negative. Figure out what the signal is, and then figure out, are you increasing the signal or dampening the signal? So big temperature difference, bring that temperature difference down, minimize the difference between the set point and the current point. That's negative feedback. Big blood sugar difference, blood sugar way out of homeostatic range, bring that down or bring that up back into range, and you have negative feedback.